Hello from Gloucestershire, where we're investigating a row over the future of our rubbish.
In the programme tonight, concerns that a giant new incinerator planned near the village of Haresfield is a potential health risk.
First tonight, burning rubbish to generate electricity. It sounds like a great idea, and here in Gloucestershire there are plans to spend £500 million to build a giant waste incinerator just behind me. But the proposal's meeting with significant opposition, with concerns that it's a waste of money and a potential health risk.
Rubbish. We throw plenty away every day. And even though recycling's on the up, what's left has to go somewhere.
We are producing too much rubbish. We can't landfill waste anymore. It's getting too expensive.
In Gloucestershire, the council wants to burn rubbish in an incinerator to generate electricity. But that's got people all fired up, especially Claire Card, whose family will have to live next door to it.
It's the wrong concept at the wrong time in the wrong place, costing an exorbitant amount of taxpayers' money.
Claire's worried it'll be a health hazard, but other countries have used them for years, places like Denmark.
It's so automated that it will always ensure that what comes out of the stack is actually as clean as it can be.
Maybe a visit to see the technology will help Claire decide if she'll back an incinerator.
First impressions? I'm quite horrified, really. Yes, quite shocked.
We don't want incineration, we know there's a better.
October 2012, and Claire Card is part of a crowd that's gathered outside Gloucestershire Hall. It's a last chance to stop a contract being signed between the county council and the company that wants to build the incinerator. Claire lives near the proposed site and is worried about the impact if it goes ahead.
We obviously live within less than a 5-mile radius of the incinerator, so we're obviously concerned about what's coming out of the chimney on a daily, hourly basis. Also the traffic around the roads, and you know, our children are very young and we actually don't know the effect on their health. It's very frightening, very scary.
But the protest fails. The contract is signed. The only hope now is to block planning permission and stop the incinerator from actually being built. This is where the council wants to put it, a patch of land it owns right next to junction 12 of the M5. It's called Javelin Park. The building will be almost 50 metres high, with the chimney reaching over 70 metres, taller than anything else in the skyline, higher even than Gloucester Cathedral. It will burn up to 190,000 tonnes of waste every year and generate enough electricity to power 25,000 homes.
We can't landfill waste anymore. It's getting too expensive. There is huge taxes being put on landfilling waste. This year we'll pay £9 million in taxes alone just to get rid of Gloucestershire's rubbish.
Achieving 70% of recycling and then 30% being used to recover energy, I think it's something to be proud of, and people and other counties and other countries will look at Gloucestershire as a role model to deal with waste.
But it'll also mean over 200 lorries on the road every day, one every minute at peak times. There are also worries about harmful toxic particles coming out of the chimney, and it'll have to be there for 25 years. Just down the road is the village of Haresfield, home to Claire Card and other families who say the incinerator's not necessary.
We're actually encouraged to actually recycle more and reuse more. We actually don't think that there will be a need to have an incinerator for 25 years, because that's the commitment that the Gloucestershire County Council will be making, for 25 years to burn the volume of rubbish that they are talking about.
Today they're making posters for another protest. This time the children are sending their message to the council. For the demonstration, they're heading up to the Haresfield Beacon to look down across the incinerator site, which is in the middle of beautiful countryside.
Fantastic. fantastic. Honestly, we're overwhelmed with support from all the children from the village, and it's great. Nobody can actually give us 100% guarantee that it's safe.
So could seeing an incinerator for real change Claire's mind? She's agreed to go to Denmark, where they've used the technology for decades.
This is the perfect opportunity, really, for me to see whether or not the reality is actually better or worse than what we've seen on paper.
This is Aalborg in northern Denmark. They've had a waste incinerator here since the 1980s. It produces electricity for 36,000 homes and heating for 20,000. It's a short taxi ride away on the edge of the city on an industrial estate.
I'm quite horrified, really. The scale of it. Look at the plume of smoke. This is still quite early in the morning, but there are lots of refuse lorries arriving already, and there is rubbish around the site. First impressions, yes, quite shocked. I mean, I can see lots of things in that pile of rubbish that could easily be extracted and recycled.
First stop is the waste arrival area. Thousands of tons come here every day, fuel for the fire. But look closely, it's full of bottles, cans, paper, recyclables.
A lot of stuff in that rubbish that I can see should be recycled. Surely, that doesn't seem right to me.
The plant runs 24 hours a day, and there's not enough waste locally to keep it going. They have to import it from other districts, even other countries. A lot of it comes from the UK. The rubbish is all put straight into the burner where the temperature is over 1,000 degrees Celsius. It destroys most things, but does produce some harmful byproducts.
So at various levels, you have filters to remove...
Yes, we have a flue gas cleaning system.
Are you concerned about the dioxins, the levels that are coming out of the stack?
We are also removing the dioxins.
The gas coming out of the burner has toxic ash and other chemicals like dioxins and furans in. It has to be cleaned with special filters and chemical scrubbers. Computers constantly monitor the incinerator to make sure pollutants are below the limits allowed by European Union rules.
This is normally what I consider the most important picture. From here we control the electricity production, the district heating production, and they monitor the emission values through the stack.
Have you ever had an accident here where the dioxin levels have exceeded what the required levels are? And have you ever had to turn the plant off or react?
In the cleaning system, we have so far not had any things causing a shutdown of the plants. But of course, when we are handling waste, there can be things on the grate that says now we need to stop the plant, and then we do that.
Looking at the chimney then, I'm concerned about what's coming out of the top of the chimney, and what about the local population?
The local citizens, they are not worried, and I think they can really trust the plant, mainly because what you see here is water evaporating, so how much plume you can see is actually depending on the outdoor temperature. It is so automated that it will always ensure that what comes out of the stack is actually as clean as it can be.
Back in the UK, the Health Protection Agency is investigating whether more babies and children die near incinerators and whether there's a connection. It's due to report in 2014.
Its view is very clear and remains such that there is no impact of these incinerators on public health. But if there were adverse effects, we would have to stop and think again. We're not in business of poisoning the people of Gloucestershire. If there were any evidence that we were, we wouldn't be pursuing this route.
350 of these are working in Europe, many hundreds in the States, and there is no evidence of anything happening. As you can imagine, the Environment Agency, European regulations would ban these facilities if there was a problem, and there are still many being developed these days.
But Claire has seen enough. This incinerator's convinced her the one in Gloucestershire should not be built.
I'm more concerned in a way. I didn't expect it to be quite such a large building. You just look up, you just see this plume coming out the top, and you're just worried about what the effects might be in 20 years' time.